Hello there, and welcome to what is my first ever attempt at doing some kind of Let's Play video. In this video, I am playing Amazon Total War, which is a mod for the original Rome Total War, which, as you might guess by the name, adds some Amazon factions to the game, at the expense of a few existing factions, most notably the Dacians and the Pontians, but I don't think anyone ever really played as them. Sorry if you ever did play as them, but all respect to you. I'm sure they're great factions to play. So anyway, the other major differences in this mod is that it starts it off in 450 BC, when the Persian Empire is kind of dominating everything, which I'm actually kind of worried about, given the fact they have about 30 cities, and you need 50 to win, and they have plenty of rebel territory to expand out into. But I assume this has been play tested. Now another interesting thing is they've got rid of 3 of the Roman factions, just replace them all with the SPQR. Again, I suppose it's more relevant to the way Rome was in 450 BC, although it wasn't much different to 70 BC. It also means that you can fight against Rome without 4 different factions sending everything they have at you. The other major difference is that they've added some siege weaponry to the game, which did exist, but which doesn't, possibly not in the scale they have here. I've double clipped in because I want to show an example, but it doesn't want to show me. But one interesting example this unit does have is some war wagons, which are something I actually decided to cut out of this particular mod. Well, my own personal bit of programming, because they just seem to be stupidly overpowered. They were basically armoured tanks in 450 BC, and they were just unstoppable unless you have some kind of specialised equipment, which is just not something I really want to be playing against in Total War. Of course, some of the starting units do have these war wagons, but I eliminated any of the ways any of them can recruit them, so they should dwindle. Should being the key word. Anyway, I turned on the fog of war so I could show you around the map for a bit. I'll just turn it off now. So long. Okay, for this game I'm playing as the Libyan Amazons. The other 3 Amazon factions are kind of clustered around the Caucasus, which I guess is where some of the peoples that form the historical basis for the Amazon would have been located. The Libyan Amazons start off with one small desert town out here, which is right on the doorstep of the Persians and the Egyptians, so I don't think I'll be staying there for very long. And then there's another small town, well, not a small town, there's a horde over here, and I think the game expects me to try to capture Demidi and use that as a new homeland for the Amazon, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go and capture Carthage. Because screw those guys. They've probably done something to us at some point. Yeah, the early turns in pretty much any Total War game are just spend a lot of time just moving around, just waiting around. Anyway. I have this spy here who's first of all going to explore the Nile, and then going to explore all of North Africa, just try to find out where the various desert tribes are, in case we feel like colonising them later. Your job is to go and plant a flag there, so when we turn up we can say, "Good, but this is our lad. See, our flag's flying. That's how this works." You should have invented the flag if you don't want to be colonised. Ha ha ha. Anyway. Over here we have a diplomat and an assassin, though the tag here kind of refers to them as an emissary and a femme fatale. Interesting choice of words. They're going to go ahead to scout out and try to find a port so I can move this one onto mainland Europe to negotiate with the people who live there. Meanwhile, I have this diplomat over here who's going to negotiate with the people in the Near East. Don't judge me if I slur some words. I'm doing this while slightly drunk, so it doesn't affect my judgment. Oh, I should have formed a whole army. Huh. Yes, I agree to trade rights. Wow, that actually gave me map information. It's normally something factions just jealously cling on to. Make it impossible to actually find out what's in the stupid map. Yeah, well, I had the fog of war thing off. I can't remember where everything was. Oh, don't go that way. There's a rebel faction there, and they attack you. They sort of become really adamant, chasing you down about how you should try to just sidestep them in this game. I find it interesting that all the rebel factions default to female units, even when they're mostly male soldiers inside. Maybe they identify as female, which I fully respect. Anyway, going to abandon this town because it's right on the doorstep of the massive Persian Empire, which is not very helpful, and it's also in the middle of the desert and just does nothing but cost money. So these ladies are going to move west and try to capture the rest of Carthage. Meanwhile, you are to explore the Nile. And you are to talk to the Persians. Drunkenness probably won't be a major problem to my leadership. I'm following the example of the great Ulysses S. Grant, although his alcoholism has been exaggerated. But there's a story that says that Abraham Lincoln was told by some of his generals that Grant was taking bottles of whiskey into battle. They weren't complaining about him for that. Lincoln just said, "Well, what brand of whiskey is he drinking? Because I want everyone to be drinking it." Because there's some historians who reckon that Grant's recklessness is probably what allowed the Union to win the war over the Confederacy, because they needed somebody with the nerve to continue attacking and continue wearing the Confederacy down until they eventually had to surrender, no matter what they lost in the process. Please give us map information? I am not giving that. Go away. Anyway, Skylea shall now head up the Nile, just see what she can find. Seek out strange new peoples, and boldly go where no woman has gone before. Uh, ooh, I need to move these ones. Our target is somewhere that way. The Carthaginian lands are somewhere in North Africa. I am guessing here, since that's the only place where there's not desert. Yeah, it's an interesting thing in the original Total Wars, you had little patches of green tell you where the cities were in the middle of the desert, but you don't seem to have that here. Well, I'm guessing maybe these two places, but I'm not sure. Well, the Egyptians have given me a bit of information about some of the Persians, but you are to go to to Asia Minor, try to find some of the peoples there, including our fellow Amazons. Right, those rebels have cleared out, so we can use that peninsula to cross into Carthage, into the Carthaginian lands themselves. We could capture Had Hadrometum, however you pronounce that, but I think we need to go straight for the main prize. Make that a new capital. Meanwhile, our diplomat here shall sit here and just wait until we capture the city so we can build some ships and send her to mainland Europe to make some trade deals with the people there. Meanwhile, Skylea continues her quest up the Nile. Although, again, we already know where the Egyptian cities are. Still, we leave no patch of sand unturned until we have the whole of North Africa mapped out. Well, that's all the movement points available. Oh, forgot about them. Ooh, they found a city in the desert. Right. Continue on towards the Carthaginian lands to support our sisters in the west. Why do we lose any money when we're in Horde form? I mean, you'd expect them to have to pay some kind of upkeep. Well, no one's stopping us, so... Attack Carthage! Meanwhile, these support armies shall march around the west to support you. In a couple of turns' time. Just starve them out for a bit. Let's cause an army attacks here. Ooh, actually that might be an opportunity. Could take this whole peninsula in one go. Meanwhile, these ladies... Oh, we've already used them. This turn. Skylea continues up the Amazon, pushing beyond the furthest city that we know of, although still not beyond Egyptian lands. It does say continues up the Amazon, continues up the Nile. Continues up with the Amazon quest. The quest of an Amazon. I cover that nicely. Right. Let me think about something. I've changed my mind. I think you should support her attack on Carthage, whilst you shall besiege Hadramenthum, or however you pronounce that word. Meanwhile, these ladies continue their trek towards whatever Carthaginian town is over here. It's an interesting thing is, with all the Amazon factions, they seem to have seem to have two different sections that are completely disconnected from each other. The game description explains they're connected by some kind of ancient pony express, which is a bit weird. But anyway, I guess with the application of the war wagons, they probably weren't aiming for historical accuracy. Oh, there is some historical basis, including female units, of course. The reason they feature in the Greek and the Roman legends is because both of them encountered various peoples who allowed the women to fight alongside the men. And the Romans themselves were very multicultural in a lot of areas, but they apparently drew. Oh no! Some of our Amazon friends have been killed. Well, sorry, there's a bit of an abrupt cut-off, but I ran into a technical issue which meant I had to go back to my last autosave. A technical issue which may or may not have been me forgetting to save, I'm not sure. In which case, problem exists between chair and keyboard. Back now, sober, and well, need to do a couple of things again. Namely, capturing Carthage. Meanwhile, these armies here will continue moving through the desert towards the only patch of non-sandy soil in sight. Here's a thought: if all this area is unexplored, then how they know what the terrain is? I guess having a black map would be too difficult to work with. Claire continues her quest up the Nile. Let me through, I'm a diplomat. Right. Still not losing any money. Rings that continue to confuse me. Oh, and the Carthaginians have got some reinforcements, which is annoying. They seem to be more powerful than the ones in the city. Maybe I should have attacked in the last turn. Oh well, I have to try to seize the place before they can get in. I like that proverb. Agrees with a pacifist motto. So, time for the first major battle of the game. The campaign. Says a male voice. Just want to say before I start that some of these tags are a bit blurry, but the current animation of the soldiers themselves is actually top notch, considering they probably had to create a lot of these Amazons from scratch. Anyway, allies over here with none of those sat points asked them. Yeah, what I'm hoping is that these ladies will hold off the Carthaginians to the north, whilst my army to the south will seize the city. Now I want. Now I want to make a quick change because I want to have the heavy infantry off to one side, because normally the AI will concentrate most of its forces around the gateway. Where did I leave that tower? There it is. So, you two shall attack here. Meanwhile, this lot will climb the walls further along and hopefully catch them in the flank. They're only unit to heavy infantry. Going to climb the walls here and perform much the same function. With a little luck, we can get to the plaza before the reinforcements even turn up. Right. So anyway, reinforce the rest of the army that's not General Elephant is going to go in column formation to make it easier getting through the gate. It's really impractically narrow in Rome Total War. Another interesting change in this mod is the elephant units, where before you'd have about 8 of them in the unit. Here you have about 40 of them. Although I've noticed in some of my tests I did before I did this campaign, they're a lot weaker than they were before, so it does balance out. Right, and now we move. I don't always use the pause button, I just use it when I need to order lots of units forward at the same time. Honest. Ooh, need to turn the fire at will on for the towers. Yep. As I suspected, the Carthaginians are spread too thin, and we can therefore storm the walls without too much difficulty. In the meantime, Carthaginians' reinforcements have been delayed. My women will be at the plaza by sundown. I want to know why the sky is pink in this mod. Maybe fits with the female-dominated theme, but still. Or shows they're giving elements of fantasy to it. Haven't played any of the earlier mods, been told they were much more fantasy based, and this one tried to beat things a bit more ground reality with some factions that actually existed and some placements of the Amazon near to where Legends put them. Hence what the bravest will soon be over the defenses.
Our ladders are at the walls. Now bravery and steel will be tested as our men fight over the defenses.
That answer still says men. Maybe the voice acting was a bit hard for them to change when they did the mod. Or maybe the Amazon hired a slave to do the announcements for them. He can't quite accept that he's not in a patriarchal society right now. Hey women, get down to the ground. Not that way!
Great gods! Our soldiers have done well this day. The engineers are digging. Soon the walls will come crashing down with the favor of the gods.
Oh, so my allies do actually have some stat points somewhere. You live and learn. Right. I don't need these women to fight on the walls. We'll just go down to the ground. Taking advantage of that great mechanic in Rome Total War, where the towers are apparently garrisoned by the most cowardly archers in the world, who completely change their legions. You get a single woman in them. And also somehow have infinite ammunition and never leave the towers. So they're able to garrison them even when there's no one else in the settlement. Here we go. Right. You lot are to deal with them. Just attack them from behind. No, you lot are to seize the gate. Meanwhile, the women outside the walls are going to rush forward and storm the city now. Why aren't you seizing the gate? Finally. Right. Now, I need all infantry that aren't currently engaged in combat to move forward to this position here. Try to hold it against the Carthaginian counterattacks. Which includes these horde spear women, who I hope I never have to use these people in combat, these women in combat too often, because they just cannot make formation for some reason. Pardon. Right. Forward, women. Those men on the wall saying, you know, when I said this morning I want to spend the evening. This guy saying, you know, when I said this morning I want to end the day savagely between two big bodies of women, this was what I had in mind. Ooh, the well, the Carthaginians are counter-attacking, which I kind of expected. Hopefully my infantry there will be able to hold that position until the whole army can get in through the absurdly narrow gates. But yeah, the Carthaginians have nothing but cavalry, we have a big block of spear women. Ah, here's an interesting thing. The Vestal Maiden Horse Archers. Like I was saying earlier, all the factions can recruit some female units, apart from the Romans. I think the historical basis for it is the fact that the Greeks and the Romans did dealings with a lot of cultures where they allowed the women to fight alongside the men, which probably formed the basis for the Amazons of legend. The thing is, while the Romans were a fairly multicultural society, the idea of independent women was a bridge too far for them. A particularly famous example comes from the Iceni. Their king had made a peace deal with the Romans that he would help them taking over Britain, but he'd retain his lands the rest of his life. And then when he died, half of them would go to the Romans, the other half would go to his wife, who happened to be Boadicea. But then only when he died, the Romans tell them that Roman lord into. Ooh, my allies are moving this way. Yes, they are. Right, I'll get back into history later. I think right now I need to get some more women moving towards the plaza. First, I need to get these ones off the walls. Actually, I'll talk a bit about history now. See, the Romans told the Iceni and Boadicea that under Roman law, a woman couldn't inherit property, and also so they couldn't recognise Boadicea as queen, and they just seized all her lands, and then had her and her daughters whipped and raped when she objected to it. So she organised a revolt which very nearly drove the Romans out of Britain. And massacred some undefended towns that were mostly held by British people anyway. Ooh, it's snowing. Right. I'm sending the infantry forward to support their cavalry. Irrespective of how organised it is right now. They'll pull themselves together later. Right, there's nothing there. So, fan out, prepare to storm the plaza. Infantry form one line, archers the next line. Missile cavalry on the flanks. Yeah, missile cavalry is not very well suited to urban combat. I've noticed many times. Forward, women! Oh. Take them out. Right, that's not gone so well. New plan. A missile cavalry will fire into their flanks whilst we charge forward and seize the city and seize the plaza. Yeah, these Carthaginians probably don't appreciate the irony of the fact they're being overrun by elephants right now.
God be praised! The enemy king now shows his true colors as he runs from the battle.
I notice the tag there still refers to them as spearmen. Oh well. As you might expect from this animator, they've basically done all the Amazons with loincloths which barely cover, which don't really cover their bum cheeks, and a big amount of cleavage in the front.
Let us hope it does not poison the carrion birds.
And this is the G-rated version. There's another one where pretty much all the women are topless. Well, the Carthaginians put a pretty good fight then. But we overcame them. And the Amazon have their new home. Right, occupy the settlement. Carthage is ours. Right, first thing I'm going to do, train a bireme, and then sorry, they just look fairly male for a moment. The Amazon can only recruit women for obvious reasons. Unless they're mercenaries, of course. Right. I think we're in a fairly good position there. Got enough military buildings, so let's go with a financial build policy. Just try and secure our base here before we start expanding. What does financial stuff say? We're going to lose 5,410 denarii, gold, whatever, by the end of this turn. Yeah, we need those trade links. Anyway, the desert women have finally found a town. It's Lepsis Magna, which they shall seize for womankind. Well, seize for our queendom anyway. Right. Meanwhile, Seclair has explored this tributary of the Nile so as much as she can. Let's see what's over here. Ooh, and actually we should use this opportunity to go and talk to the Persians, try and get a trade deal with them. Result. Now, will you give us map information? Will we give you map information? Go away. Right. Well, that was. Well, at least we have some trade now, which doesn't affect our finances one bit. Wonder what we could build that would increase things the most. I shall leave that in the AI's capable hands. In the meantime, our numbers besieging Hadrumentum have dwindled, and there's a reinforcing Carthaginian army on the way. So we should probably attack now. They only have 3 units there, so it shouldn't be too much trouble. We have 3 rams and only 2 infantry units to use them. But we also have elephants. Not fighting a sandstorm. No. Finally! Annoys me somewhat. The AI always seems to prefer doing things in harsh conditions when they get to choose when the battle starts. Right. Elephants. Form a column. The missile cavalry will follow the rams through the thing. The general will stay where she is. Whenever I'm attacking city, or in general, just always put the general at the back. Because if she dies, then the whole army kind of runs away. Meanwhile, even if they have 10 men or women on the plaza, they can't rout. So you're pretty much screwed as soon as the general dies in a city assault.
Our soldiers are at the wall. Now they must batter a way through. The enemy gate is down. Our battering ram has done its work.
Right, our heavy infantry will charge right now.
The gods have smiled on us today. The walls are broken. Our troops should be ordered forward.
Archers, go up there and fire into their flank. Meanwhile, the elephants are going to go in there and deal with their general. Which one's which? Problem is, there's no banners in these mods, in this particular mod, which actually makes it quite hard to
Our soldiers have captured the walls.
tell what's going on sometimes.
Now is the time to press on and capture this place.
Right. Infantry must take up a position. I'll send the cavalry forward to engage the enemy. Ooh. On second thoughts, cavalry, go this way. Elephants, go straight to the plaza and just take those guys out. Cavalry are to get behind the general and shoot him in the back. Take him out! Okay, screw this. Elephants, take out that general. And the elephants are struggling to make it through the breach. Yeah, that's the problem when you have 40 elephants. Elephants tend to take up space. Anyway. Oh, we've won.
Gods be praised. This victory surely they.
I just like to keep the generals off the front line. I do notice that they can overpower pretty much anything if they're high up enough in the command chain. Right, and let's exterminate the populace just to provide a little boost to the economy, because that's how economics works. One thing I do want to do is to train a bit more heavy infantry, just in case the Carthaginians think it's a good idea to counterattack anytime soon. Well, a lot of our horde units have gone to live in our new cities. Someone here from the Pan-Hellenic League, which we're at war with. Mentioned something in the game brief about the Greeks having driven the Amazon out of their homelands. That's why they start the game in the desert. Anyway, anything else I need to do this turn? She can't go anywhere. She's used all the movement points. Well, I think this is a good place to stop for now. We've established our new queendom in Tunisia, driven the Carthaginians out of their lands, and it's interesting. Made some friends with the locals. Some kind of friends, anyway. So yeah. If you enjoyed this video, join me next time to watch as I try to expand.